evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Uzma Jafri. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 5th of January. Indian Foreign Minister meets Indonesian counterpart in Jakarta to boost ties. US suspending security aid to Pakistan, says State Department. And death toll rises to 20 in Kabul suicide attack. And now for all the details. Security forces in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province carried out a massive combing operation on Thursday to detect and defuse bombs and some other explosives fired by Pakistan during an exchange of fire with Indian troops. Soldiers during the exercise dug them up and destroyed them through controlled blasts.
Indian Army on Thursday carried out a massive combing operation in Rajouri district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province to detect and detonate live mortar shells. The army used drones to look up for the live mortar shells fired by Pakistan during a recent exchange of fire at the border with Indian troops. Soldiers during the exercise dug them up and destroyed them in a series of controlled blasts.
जब भी कोई बम हमें अपना ब्लैंड मिलते हैं तो हमें आर्मी को जगह हम बताते हैं और हमें आर्मी मतलब पूरी तरह से हमारी सहायता करती है। उनको ढूंढ के जहाँ जहाँ भी गिरे हुए हैं ब्लैंड बम उनको अपना ब्लास्ट किया जाता है और उससे क्या होता है कि हमारे जो बच्चे हैं जानवर हैं वो सुरक्षित रहते हैं।
India and Pakistan exchanged fire on line of control, a de facto border, despite an agreement of observing ceasefire along the working boundary. Both New Delhi and Islamabad blame each other for resorting to unprovoked firings.
India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Friday co-chaired the 5th meeting of India-Indonesia Joint Commission along with her Indonesian counterpart in Jakarta. Swaraj said relations with ASEAN nation is a key priority for India and is at the core of its Act East policy. It was the second leg of a three-nation tour aimed at enhancing India's engagement with ASEAN countries.
India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Friday met her Indonesian counterpart in Jakarta on the second leg of a three-nation tour. Swaraj is on a 5-day visit to three nations including Thailand, Indonesia and Singapore. The visits are aimed at enhancing India's engagement with ASEAN countries. The foreign ministers later held bilateral talks during the 5th meeting of India-Indonesia Joint Commission. The details of the meeting were not immediately known, but the two leaders were expected to discuss a range of issues including political, defense and economic ties. Earlier in the day, Swaraj also called on Indonesian Vice President. Swaraj will head to Singapore on Saturday for the last leg of her visit. During the visit, she is expected to hold bilateral meetings with top Singaporean leadership and hold interactions with the Indian diaspora.
In news from Pakistan, the US State Department on Thursday announced it was suspending security assistance to Pakistan until Islamabad takes decisive action against militant groups operating on its territory. The move comes after US President Trump's statement blaming Pakistan for fooling around with Washington in the fight against militancy.
The US State Department said on Thursday it was suspending security assistance to Pakistan until Islamabad takes action against the Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network, which Washington believes is destabilizing the region. A State Department spokesperson, however, said the dollar value for the suspended aid could not be provided because the administration was still calculating the types of aid affected by the decision.
This is something that should not come as a surprise to Pakistan because the President, Secretary Tillerson, and Secretary Mattis have all had conversations with Pakistani officials, alerting them to our concerns that Pakistan has not done enough to detain, to take care of, and when I say take care of, I mean round up, terrorist and militant groups operating from within Pakistan.
The move comes after US President Donald Trump on Monday targeted Pakistan on Twitter and accused it for sheltering terrorists the US troops hunt in Afghanistan. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif, while commenting over Trump's statement, said that the US is making Pakistan a scapegoat for its failures in winning the war in Afghanistan. Pakistan has maintained it has done enough in the fight against terrorism and has sacrificed a lot.
Moving on, residents of Pakistan-administered Kashmir have strongly opposed the construction of hydroelectric projects in the region by Pakistan. They allege that Islamabad is plundering and looting the natural resources in the illegally occupied region.
Locals in Pakistan-administered Kashmir have blamed Pakistani authorities are plundering the natural resources in the illegally occupied region. They allege a lot of hydroelectric projects are underway in the region which are affecting the ecology of the region. The locals say despite producing surplus power from the hydel projects, the electricity generated is usually diverted to the national grid of Pakistan and they are deprived of its benefits.
हम ये समझते हैं कि हाइडल प्रोजेक्ट ये जो मंसूबे हैं ये हमारी ज़मीन में बन रहे हैं, हमारी कास्ट में बन रहे हैं, एनवायरनमेंट में बन रहे हैं, हमारा माहौल ख़राब होगा.
Residents blame the regional government is not even considered while taking such decisions due to which the locals are suffering. A part of the erstwhile princely province of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan-administered Kashmir was illegally annexed by Pakistan over 6 decades back.
Moving on to news from Afghanistan. Death toll rose to at least 20 on Friday in a suicide bomb attack in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Militant group Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack, which was the latest in a wave of violence that has killed and wounded thousands in the country.
Death toll rose to at least 20 on Friday in a suicide attack in Afghan capital, Kabul. Afghan security personnel were seen inspecting the site on Friday, where a suicide bomber blew himself up on Thursday evening close to a group of police personnel who were carrying out an operation to curtail dealing in illegal drugs and alcohol. Afghanistan's Ministry of Interior has said at least 30 persons were wounded in the explosion.
وطن فروش خائن د افغانستان دښمن د دین دښمن رغلی دی او ځان ته انفجار ورکړی دی چې ډېر پولیسان زموږ په دې کې شهیدان شول. دا اولنۍ پیښه نه ده چې مثال په افغانستان کې دا کیږي. موږ په مونۍ کې مثال د دغه پیښې شاهدان یو.
Militant group Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. It came a week after a suicide bomber killed at least 41 persons and wounded several at a Shiite cultural center in Kabul.
In news from Nepal, Nepal's Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba on Friday called for an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss various issues, including announcement of National Assembly or NA election date and appointment of provincial capitals and their chiefs. The cabinet, after the meeting, has decided to hold the crucial NA election on February 7. Earlier this week, Election Commission had urged the government to hold the election on February 8. Nepal's President Bidya Devi Bhandari signed the NA Act last week to pave the way for the commencement of the polls. The ordinance was put on hold at her office as political parties were not able to resolve the disputes over the modality of electing the NA members through consensus. This has also delayed the process of forming a new government in Nepal. An internationally renowned Indian cardiologist with his team in India's western Ahmedabad city has recently introduced a vascular robotic technology to perform coronary angioplasty and stenting on patients. The technology is being seen as a game changer for treatment of cardiovascular diseases in India.
Seen as a game changer for treatment of cardiovascular diseases in India, a doctor and his team based in India's western Ahmedabad city are using a robotic technology for artery imaging. This is the first time when the technology is being used anywhere outside the US to perform coronary angioplasty and stenting. The internationally reputed cardiologist Dr. Tejas Patel believes his robotic-assisted surgeries will add to more accuracy and safety of patients.
Since 7th December we have started working on it, and as of 4th of January we are already done with 55 robotic assisted PCI. This particular procedure is adding to the accuracy and precision of the process, to several times as compared to human hand, and it increases the safety of the patients.
According to the 2016 Global Burden of Disease report, heart disease is still one of the leading causes of death in India, killing 1.7 million Indians in 2016. In a bid to decrease the numbers, cardiologist Patel and his Apex Heart Institute in Ahmedabad have successfully conducted over 50 angioplasty surgeries after installing the vascular robotic system.
A rejuvenation camp for temple elephants in India's southern Tamil Nadu province began on Thursday. Around 33 elephants from different temples are participating in the camp, which will continue for 48 days.
An annual rejuvenation camp for temple elephants in Coimbatore district of India's southern Tamil Nadu province began on Thursday. Around 33 elephants from different temples thronged the camp, where they were beautifully decorated and given special foods. The jumbos during the camp will be taken for morning walks, will get their scrub baths, and will be taken for prayers before they get their rejuvenating diet. The rejuvenating diet will be prepared according to the elephant's gender, age, height, weight, and physiology.
ஒரு காட்டுக்குள்ள ஏற்கனவே அதுங்கள் சுதந்திரமாக காடுகளில் மட்டும்தான் தெரியும். அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சூழலில் அவங்கள கொண்டு வந்து விட்டுட்டா தன்னோட இனத்தை சேர்ந்தவங்களை இன்னும் நிறைய பேரை பார்க்கறதுல அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு புத்துணர்வு. ரெண்டாவது, பசும் தீவனங்கள் போன்றவைகள்லாம் இங்கே தான் கிடைக்கும். எங்கள் ஏரியாவில் கிடைக்கிறது மட்டும் சாப்பிட்டுக்குவாங்க.
The population of jumbos in India has dipped in large numbers from 2012 to 2017, according to a data of Elephant Census 2017. Such camps are seen as the initiatives of government to preserve and pamper the damaged wildlife in the country. The camp will conclude on February 20th.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Indian Foreign Minister meets Indonesian counterpart in Jakarta to boost ties. US suspending security aid to Pakistan, says State Department. And death toll rises to 20 in Kabul suicide attack. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.